Welcome to Faithing Out Loud, a short weekly podcast from Williamson's Chapel United Methodist Church, where we explore how to navigate the things we all face. We're all busy, but everyone has 15 minutes that can help fuel faithfulness. This is Pastor Wes, and I'm joined by my wife, Pastor Tony Ruth.
Hello.
We hope you'll join our ongoing conversation. Okay, so our son, senior in high school, he plays in the marching band.
Indeed.
And so we go to football games. And we were there a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago. Preface what I'm getting ready to say by saying that you and I are both lifelong UNC Tar Heel fans.
I'm a Tar Heel born and a Tar Heel bred.
You went to Carolina.
Yes, I did.
But I grew up and still to this day love the Tar Heels.
I think we can agree. It is always a good day to be a Tar Heel.
It is a good day to be a Tar Heel. And I
also went to Duke, by the way. We both went to Duke.
We both went to Duke.
I did cheer for Davidson in the Duke student section once. That's a true story.
But even though I did go to Duke, my hatred of Duke abides.
And indeed.
Well, Duke basketball, I'm ambivalent about most of the rest of it, but Duke basketball I hate. But we went to the game. And
well, we love Duke fans. Go ahead.
The Duke Blue Devil mascot, because it's Mooresville Blue Devils, but the Duke Blue Devil mascot was there, and it said Duke. There was like a big D on his,
Did it mean doofus?
I'm not going to get into that, but it almost, for a few seconds, it ruined my experience of the game.
That's true. But I did take that picture with giving him the thumbs down.
Up, yes. And so thinking about kind of that mascot being there.
Right.
And how it negatively impacted my experience. An otherwise great game.
Right.
You might think, why is Wes talking about this Blue Devil?
Yeah, why are we talking about mascots?
Mascot.
Because I don't really ever think about them. I couldn't have told you otherwise that there was one there. I mean, I realize there are people that like mascots are their thing.
I don't understand this.
And we saw that, remember, a couple weeks ago at first day of College Game Day. We were watching College Game Day.
Oh, yeah.
And what is it, Lee Corso was putting doing the heads on.
Kind of
and all I could think is he was talking about, they're showing all those pictures of him doing that.
Yeah.
All I could think was, how bad do those smell?
You don't want to know.
I don't think I want to know.
You don't want to know. It's like
really
the Disney
kind of
costumes.
horrifying.
But
anyway, I'm not into mascots.
Mascots.
And maybe they're a little bit creepy for me.
Some of them.
So why are we talking about it? I really kind of need to know.
So a few years ago, we were preaching a sermon series called Get in the Game.
Okay.
And we were kind
That's
of
a good sermon series.
Connecting football and faith and whatever. And something that we talked about, and I think I preached about this, and it stuck with me for my kind of like my own, because preachers preach to themselves before they preach to. The sermon is for you or for me before it's for other people. And so this thing that I preached about stuck with me. And if really about often we treat Jesus like he's a mascot.
All right.
Like, that I know I'm a Tar Heel fan. That mascot kind of represents UNC or whatever.
Right.
But we treat Jesus as if he's just kind of like decoration in our lives.
Right.
Just kind of on the sidelines.
Right.
And if we treat Jesus that way, if our faith is just kind of like branding, kind of like a bumper sticker or whatever, then Jesus has as much impact on our lives as a mascot does on a game.
Oh, that's very true.
Because a mascot has no, or should have no,
bearing
right,
on
the
the
game
itself. Right.
And I'm just picturing a scenario where like a mascot runs out onto the field.
That'd be pretty funny. I'd watch
maybe some comedic value in that.
I'd watch that video.
I would watch that. But the mascot does not serve really an essential function.
Right.
And so I connected that as I was thinking about this, connecting that to my faith, just wanting to make sure that Jesus actually serves an essential function in my life every single day, that I'm not relegating Jesus to the sidelines,
right,
and that living my faith, being a faithful Christian, that's some foundation work. That's it's not just kind of fixing things on the edges, or like sometimes people think being a Christian means like turning over a new leaf or like improving this, that, or whatever. It's got to be something deeper.
Right.
So how do we move Jesus from being a mascot,
right, to being
kind of more central in our lives?
Right. Well, it seems my first thought on that is that that's intention, right? Like you're going to have to set some intention as it relates to God every single day. It can't just be like haphazard and when you think about it and whatever. Like you're going to have to get up every day and make a decision. Now, I let's be real. I'm not going to. I do pray every day, but I don't get up every morning and I used to when I didn't have children and all the things that I have to do now. It was easier to have that consistent routine. If I get up and I have a cup of coffee and I sit there and I read my Bible and blah, 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 you know. But even when I'm not doing that, you can still set your intention every day. Like that that I'm taking my Christianity with me. I was at a women's conference one time, and this woman, and this is not going to resonate with you because, you know, you don't wear makeup, but like maybe you could think about it another way. But she talked about when she would put on her makeup, she would talk about, she turned it into a prayer exercise. She would be putting on her eyeshadow and she would say, Lord, help me to have my eyes looking at things that would honor you today. And then she would put on her mascara and she would say, Lord, help me to have my eyes open to you at work in the world today. And she would be putting on blush and she would pray about, Lord, help me to be mindful of my countenance today when I greet people and the kind of love and compassion or whatever I greet them with. When she was putting on her foundation, she would think about the foundations of her life, right? So she turned the process of putting on makeup into a way of setting an intention in the day. So it didn't add to her day, but it set the intention of her day. And another way, like for you gentlemen out there, Wesley, for you, another way to do that is your drive to work. Like the Linda Dowdy talked about this at a spiritual formation thing I went to one time. And she talked about how she connected prayer to her commute. So like every time she would pass a church, she would pray for her church family.
Right.
And every time she passed a cemetery, she prayed for those who were mourning. And every time she passed a hospital, she would pray for the sick. And when she passed a school, she would pray for educators. Like when she was at a stoplight, she would stop and take a couple deep breaths and pray for the centeredness of her life, right? And what's interesting to me about that is ultimately that's about intention, right? It's that I'm intending for Jesus to be more than something on my bumper sticker or a mascot or whatever else we want to make my talisman, right? I want Jesus to be integral in my intent. And when you sort of start your day that way, it's easier to then live your day in that way. But it's not like you couldn't, you know, if you got to noon, you wouldn't have to go, oh, well, the whole day is lost. I mean, you could, you know, so do it in the middle of the day, you know, find something that you can connect it to. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Yeah, I think intentionality, but also integration is another good word.
Okay.
Like, again, kind of resisting that tendency we have to compartmentalize. Like I have my home life, my work life, my life with God. And I think the purpose of of following Jesus and being a Christian is that you don't carve out a little space in your life for Jesus like that.
Right.
That impacts every other thing you do.
Right.
And you're still the same you, whether you're at work or at home. And I think one of the ways we can understand how Jesus talks about hypocrisy. You know, he's talking. You know, he uses that word to talk about Pharisees.
Right.
Don't be hypocrites.
Isn't that a theater word?
It's a theater word from ancient Greek theater that originally referred to the mask people would wear when performing.
Those crazy masks you see.
One side. The two masks, one is smiling, one is frowning.
Yeah.
That's where that word that we use as hypocrisy to be two-faced. You're play acting.
I think we can all agree that Two-Face is really bad.
Being Two-Face is bad.
Particularly in the Batman movies.
Yes, Two-Face is bad. And they could have done more with that villain in the dark. Never mind.
Okay, not on
but
the subject.
That's off topic. But I think part of growing as a disciple means kind of over time becoming a more integrated person.
Right.
That you're working to be your authentic self no matter where you are.
Right. And you're being mindful of the presence of God everywhere.
Right.
But also of the importance of your faith everywhere that you go, that you don't just check it at the door. We used to think about this like when we would go on vacation, because we work in churches, right, that we would make ourselves go to church on vacation because we needed to remind ourselves that vacation wasn't a vacation from God.
Right.
That when we were taking a break from our work in the church, we needed to not take a vacation from God. God was everywhere, even on our vacation.
Right.
And that integration of God into everything that we do is an essential step of discipleship, right? And it's a constant temptation to just mascot Jesus.
Right.
Right. And as long as Jesus is a mascot, I don't have to know him. I don't have to hear him. I don't have to engage with him because, mascots don't talk.
Right.
Like they are intentionally mute.
Right.
Right. They're just there as window dressing. And I'm not interested in Jesus being window dressing in my life. I'm interested in Jesus being the ongoing, most important partner in the living of my days.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to navigate anything I navigate on to press the metaphor, on the field of life. Right. Like I'm not going to be able to navigate any of that faithfully if I'm not being mindful of the presence of Jesus and my intent and commitment to following Jesus, even when it's hard.
Right. And, and I think that's something we grow into over time.
Right. But we certainly should be working on it every single day.
We can't, like if you were to say I have to, at every moment, in every decision, in every interaction, in everything I do, I have to be completely mindful of what that I can't do mentally. I can't do that.
Not if you're thinking about it like rules.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's something we grow into in the sense of, what frames our day. Kind of, that putting on the makeup example.
Right.
How am I starting my day? When I'm faced, am I taking my faith seriously in a way that I'm engaging in such a way that it impacts my life?
Right.
That it's not so much about things I do or rules I follow, but it's about who I'm becoming.
Right. Which is where you have to understand that Jesus is interested in relationship.
Yes.
So I'm not following a set of rules that if I get it wrong, it's all going to, where in a handbasket.
Right.
But that there's grace available, but ultimately that this is about my ongoing relationship with Jesus, which I think is what Paul says when he says pray without ceasing. I don't think he means like head bowed. When who can do that? Nobody could do that.
You got to sleep.
You're going to have to sleep, and you're going to have to drive your car somewhere. And
well, not Paul.
We can all agree that there are some things that we should not do with our eyes closed. Right.
Agreed.
Right. So I think part of what it means to pray without ceasing is to be in living relationship with Jesus all the time. And that's going to be the journey of our whole life.
Yeah. And I'm reminded, we talk about the mascot, relegating Jesus to the sidelines. That at various times in working in the church and being a pastor, you and I have both, we've been in meetings where we've talked about, usually it has to do with like finances or.
You mean the meetings where you zone out?
Try not to, but
yeah.
Or trustees or something that has more practical, whatever.
Right.
Have somebody say, well, y'all might do that in the church, but in the real world, we . So we kind of, there's this impulse to think like what happens in the church is not like real life, or it's not the real world, and like the real action take place out there. And it's that kind of compartmentalizing attitude, that kind of approach that relegates Jesus to the sidelines.
Right.
And kind of the point I think you and I make in different ways again and again is your commitment to Jesus sets the trajectory for everything. It's the setting for everything else.
Right.
And it's either you're living of your days. You're either on that path following Jesus, or you're moving away from that path.
Right.
And God desires for us to be on that path following Jesus, where that's kind of establishing our daily reality.
Right.
Not every waking moment, like you talked about with
right.
Pray Without Ceasing thing.
But it should be progress, not perfection.
Right.
Right.
Progress,
this is the journey. That we're a little bit more faithful to this.
Say that again. It's progress,
not perfection.
I think there are people that need to hear that.
Right. And that's why grace is there. Right. That every day, the journey of becoming, it's not like I became a Christian one day and then I was done. Like, I am still becoming a follower of Jesus Christ every single day, and I've been at it for my entire life. It's not going to stop. There's not like there's a retirement program. I'm not going to arrive. So it's the ongoing journey of faithing out loud in the world, right?
Right. Yeah. So
we'll talk more about it.
We'll talk more about it. Go Heels.